Okay, so let's dive into this first slide here. So what I want to bring up right off the bat is the interactivity that's on this slide. There is really not any. The only thing that the user can do is they can click this button to begin. So over here on the trigger pane, what I've done is I've created a trigger that basically says when the user clicks this button, this action will happen. So here it says, we'll jump to the next slide. Pretty self-explanatory. So over here on the trigger pane, you'll start using this a lot whenever you want for users to be able to do something after they do something. I guess a better way of phrasing that is you want something to happen once the users do something. So in this case, once the user clicks here, they'll be taken to the next slide. Beautiful. I'm going to open up our timeline down below so that we can kind of see, what this slide actually looks like underneath the hood. So we have this button right here, and I want to show you something. Over here I have some states, and a state is essentially all of the different ways that an object can present itself. It's really important to really understand how and why and when to use states, right? So if ever you're on a website, you see whenever you hover over a hyperlink, the hyperlink might fade, it just might change color. Or if you're hovering over a button, it might have a little drop shadow behind it. So that's what I mean by states. Hover states are really common. So visited state is really common. You can see that even on Microsoft Word when you click a hyperlink, all of a sudden it becomes purple. And for some reason, you can never turn it back from being purple, which I think is really annoying. I digress. Anyways, so states are important. Here we have some preset states, normal, hover, down, visited, and disabled. So in this presentation, we are going to really only use normal, hover, visited, and disabled. So I'll walk you through each of those when we get to that point. For now, just know that this is a normal state. And when you actually start to look at the different buttons here, you can see that you can change the state. So in order to do that, you're actually just going to double click in there. So if I double click down, it gives me the option to actually edit this particular button. So if I wanted this to be, let's say, green, you can see all of a sudden when I select down, that's going to be the button. I don't want that. I'll do hover and show you something just so that it's a little bit clearer to you. So I'm going to go ahead again. I'm just going to hit the shape fill. It'll show as green. I'll say done editing states. And then I'm going to come up here to preview to show you what that actually did. So very, very plain looking slide here. Now, but watch, I hover over this and you can very easily see that, okay, this is an object that I'm going to interact with as a user. So you can also see that this little hand pops up, also indicating that capability for interactivity. So I'll exit out there. Actually don't want this to be green, so I'm going to hit the back button up here and turn it back to that more sort of brighter red, so you can see the difference there. It's a little bit more subtle, right? Just a little bit more subtle there. So actually, while I'm in this view, I can go ahead and explain to you what else is going on the screen. So this is the player that I'm working with. We can talk a little bit more about the player here in a second. This menu can pop open and also pop closed. We have the speaker down here at the lower left, and then this is just a really fun progress bar that I threw in here to indicate where we are in the presentation. So I use this cute little snowman. Honestly, I love knowing how much time is left in any kind of presentation, movie, video, training. It doesn't matter. So I think it's really best practice to always use some type of visual indicator as to where you are. Of course, Storyline has this built-in menu, and when you were actually viewing the full scene, you can see where we are. I've set it up in that way. However, it's just kind of nice. It just gives you kind of like a breadcrumb. Okay, I'm at the beginning. I'm at the beginning here. So that's good to know. To create that, all I've done here is I've created just a simple line. It's a dotted line. So what I did is I created essentially, let me see if I can come up here. I just went to shape and then drew essentially a line. Can you see that? I'm going to change the color. Come up here to format, change to this white. So it's very similar. I didn't want white, and I didn't want it to be completely straight. I wanted dots. So you can come over here under under Shape Outline, click Weight. That'll show you how thick you actually can make that line. You can make that line as fat or as skinny as you want it to be. So the other interesting thing here is that you can see I've actually got a little bulb here at the end. So in order to do that, I came up here to Shape Outline. How did I do that? Weight, More Lines. And that is where I have the option to do different kinds of arrow settings. So let me click this again. Click the line, come to Shape Outline, go to Dashes, then click More Lines. And you have the option to actually choose what is your beginning type of the line and then the end type. So I'm getting real into the nitty-gritty here, but you can see over here I've got an arrow that just added. A different type of arrow, maybe a bulb instead. So I've chosen that circular bulb for both ends of my progress bar. So that is how you can make something like this. I've just also added just a quick cute little image down here, image 19. I'm not so good about naming all of those things. I actually brought this in from another program, which is PowerPoint. We'll talk about that here in a little bit. So this is essentially slide number 1. We have a little bit of transparency going on here, here in the timeline, and we can see how everything is stacked up. I have a couple of photos that I added trying to figure out which one I liked best, and I've gotten these from Pexels. We'll talk more about Pexels here in a second, but you can see there are a couple of different options, and you see how I toggled those. I wasn't sure what I liked better, so I kept them both on screen, but I just hid the one that I liked less. So I actually liked this one a little bit more. Also what I've got on top of here is a rectangle. So I just drew that on top, and you can see by right-clicking and going to Format Shape that you have the option to adjust the opacity either up or down depending on your mood. So around 60 is good, I think, for this. I think it was at 61. We'll put it at 60. Over here, just a little flourish. Again, an image, a box with some text written directly in it, and then some instructional text indicating exactly what to do next, right? So the user is to click Begin to start the interactive presentation. Pretty straightforward. This is a nitpick that I have whenever I'm telling the user to take action on screen. I always want whatever button they're interacting with to be bold, to be italicized, sometimes perhaps even a different color. I want to draw attention to what it is that the user is supposed to be looking for on screen, so that their eyes go right there. So that's slide 1. Let's keep going.